Well, France has introduced a tax on big technology firms from the 1st of January. That's as European Union members continue to discuss whether or not to do the same. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said the tax is expected to bring in around $577 million in 2019. The levy on direct sales, ad revenues and the sale of private data will cover big tech firms including Google and Facebook. They've been criticised for not paying their fair share of tax in the EU. Well, an EU-wide agreement is expected to be finalised in March, but some governments, including Denmark, Sweden and Ireland, have refused to target the revenues of tech companies on their soil. They say the United States could retaliate to any new levies that they impose. Let's get more now from TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, who joins us now from Paris. Hi, Craig. Happy New Year. So France has decided to go it alone in the absence of an EU-wide agreement. What sort of impact might this have on the tech industry in France, but also on France's revenue? Is this a good deal for them?
Well, the perhaps aptly acronymed GAF tax, Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, as you say, is only going to raise about $577 million. And that will just not even put a dent in what they're trying to shore up, which is a 10 billion euro shortfall in social service payments. That's the real issue. Now, what has this been designed for and why has it been accelerated? It's to placate the Gilets jaunes protests here in France. The government is trying to back over as much as it can to show that it's doing something. And this accelerating this tax, the government hopes will do so, but it might turn around and bite them.
Yes, and as we know, Emmanuel Macron campaigned on being, I guess, a champion for the business community. But let's look at this EU-wide tax proposal. So it's facing resistance from countries like Ireland, Sweden, Finland, which have tax incentives for big tech companies. Do you think this plan is therefore dead in the water when you've got some very prominent members of the EU already opposing it?
The answer to that question goes back to the origin of the euro. You know, the moment the EU united with a common currency, it was a first step toward a federated Europe, a United States of Europe. Instead, the past 20 years have brought nothing but further fragmentation. And this is an example of it. You have 28 states with 28 different tax codes. And it makes just sense, if you're a corporation, that you're going to register and incorporate in the lowest tax jurisdiction. If the EU tries to get its fingers in this pie, you're looking at double taxation. And the question is, you know, what right does a non-federated EU have to impose its taxation will on independent countries?
That's right.
That question's been answered.
The other question is, does the EU run the risk of scaring away the big tech companies and their business from the bloc?
Oh, no, they'll keep coming. You have to remember something. The big tech companies have more money and more lawyers than the bureaucrats in the EU. So they'll keep this tied up in the courts. The fear of U.S. retaliation, as you mentioned, is real. You know, the great concern going into our new year, 2019, is that escalation in the weaponization of various economies in order for them to achieve their foreign policy goals is going to accelerate. The problem the EU has, it doesn't have the ammunition, and the economy doesn't have the muzzle velocity to really fight off all the incoming that's falling on the EU. It will be an interesting year. We're going to see it in the courts. That's one thing you can bet on.
Interesting. Okay, we'll see how it all unfolds in 2019. Craig Copetas, thank you as always.